Hello there. Before we resume work on the suspension project, I have kind of a personal question to ask. Do you like my bottom plates? So, the plan for today, I want to fit these bottom plates, put the car back on the ground, well, not exactly the ground, but it'll have a weight on it, and then put the shocks on the bottom plates and see where I need to make the top mounts for the shocks, and then possibly make the mounts but not add them yet, maybe tack them on. I'll have more room if the axle's out, and then when the axle's out I can weld on the axle perches properly so that everything can go back together once and for all. So let us get under the car again. Well, here we are again. I should be able to do this with my eyes closed by now. Okay, that goes on there. These go over the top. So I need to lower down the axle a smidgeroonie. Too much, because that's got to locate in there. I might have to do this. Oh, this is tricky. Right, I'll try clamping it down and see if it locates and corrects itself. So it looks like there's a, you see this ridge here that runs along? This is just stretching out the U-bolt a wee bit, so I'll need to remember and grind that down, make life easier for installing properly. Other than that, it's going together quite nicely. And I do have spring washers to go on these as well, so don't panic. We're still mocking up, making a mockery of the whole thing. And I also know that there's a sequence for tightening these. It's like one and then diagonally over and then over, then back again. Don't know if you can see there, though there's a gap there because the U-joint, the U-bolt is not getting far enough down. So I do need to address that, definitely. Okay, that should be enough to at least get the shock on and see where I'm going to mount it up the top. But I can't do that until I've got the other plate on as well, because I need to lift the axle up, take away the axle stands that are holding the frame up, and then put the axle stands underneath the leaf springs, lower it down so that we're back at right height. So let me quickly blast all that together. Okay, we're all jacked up and jacked down and down jacked and up jacked, so we're back in the leaf springs. So the car has the weight on the leaf springs. So now I will get underneath and see where I'm going to mount these shocks at the top. So, still got the strap on it, which would imply that this is how you're supposed to install it when the engine's at right height. I hope that's the intention. Anyway, that slides on nice there. And now I just need to decide exactly where this is going. This is great. It's actually just below the frame rail, so I can easily make some sort of mount there that will bolt through. I'm thinking, I mean, I'll take a proper measurement. I don't know exactly where yet. Obviously you don't want it too close to the drive shaft, to the axle tube, but anywhere there sounds pretty good to me. So I might, well, as I say, I'll take some measurements, but it would be nice to line it up with this rivet. That looks about right. It really depends on the arc of the leaf spring. You don't want it too much. Okay, but it's looking pretty good so far. I'm liking this. So now I just need to fabricate the top mounts. Nothing fantastically complicated. I'm thinking just a sort of L shape bracket like this, right? So if I chop that out, chop that there, chop it all the way down there, that will give me an L, and I can, yeah, the shock would probably go through there. I'd make that all pretty, of course, and rounded and stuff, right? So that would hang down, and it would just get welded to the underside of the frame rail. You get me? And I can always add a gusset from there up to there. Yeah, I might just keep it square then, and then I can do a diagonal gusset. And I'll have plenty of access at the back. Because it's hanging down, I can get to the nut or the bolt, depending on which way round I go. Probably the bolt. Okay, that sounds simple enough. I just need to work out the height it's going to come down and replicate that for the other side. And I'm going to be really cheap and use the same bit of steel. All I need to do is cut the L at this side while I'm cutting the L at that side. Easy peasy. Top mounts are done. They turned out quite nice, I think. So that driver's side gets gets welded up to the underside of the frame. Top shock mount in there. And I've got enough clearance at the top. I wanted it as high as possible to get the right sort of reach for this shock. This is actually without the strap on it, so it's at full extension. Okay, so now I need to tack this onto the underside of the frame, and then I need to actually take the axle completely out so that I've got access to weld this properly, and also I need to weld on the axle perches. So that is the next job. That should be strong enough, right? I'll probably put a big, a thick washer on the inside just to balance out the amount of play on the bolt and the hole. So I have my top mount bolted to the top of the shock for now, and I have a set of vice grips. So the idea is put this on the bottom, put the nut on. Doesn't need to be tight. This is just for height we're looking for. And then all I have to do, clamp this in place. And I want it just beside this little rivet here. So there then. Let's have a closer look. Cool. So I will tack that on. I can actually take this off then, tack the top mount on, do the same on the other side, and get the axle back out. Okay, those top mounts are clamped in at the moment. I don't need to tack them just now. I can weld them all up once I get the axle out. So let me get the axle out then. It's always fun times. That is the last time I want to be doing that. So the next time this axle goes back in, it's staying in, okay? So I'll show you why I've removed the axle. A couple of things actually. I need to grind down these points here. Do you see that line there? Where there's a sort of rib. I need to grind that flat because the U-bolt is struggling to get past that. I think the other side's okay, but I definitely need to get rid of that, and same on this side. So also, while the axle's out, need to weld on these perches properly. Yeah, so it turns out they're pretty much on that silver line that I made the other day. But I was thinking that they had to be between the silver lines, but no, it's actually lined up with that line. So you've got that gap there, and the same there. So the perches are centered. Okay, one more thing I need to do. I need to check that this perch is at the same level as that perch. So I'll get my angle finder and make sure they're level. Well, I'm glad I checked that, and thanks for the reminder, Mr. Wolfman. We have 0 degrees in that one. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. 2 degrees on that one. So I need to decide which one to rotate. I don't want to bring the front of the diff down, so I'm going to match it to whatever one was pointing up. I don't know if I've got the brain power, but I'll give it a shot. Right, I've figured it out. I need to rotate this perch that way 2 degrees. Took a lot of my brain power. I might not have enough to finish this, but basically if you rotate that way, then it would force the seat to flatten down that way, which would mean the whole tube would rotate that way. I mean, it's not going to really rotate that much, it's only 2 degrees, but I'd rather it was closer to that side than the opposite. If I'd managed to go 2 degrees the wrong way, that really would have been twisting the springs. So let me take that one off, rotate it 2 degrees, and then I can weld everything back together. Okay, Perch is tacked on in its new home. So next I will be flipping it over. Easier to weld down the way than up the way. And I'm going to take the wheels off and put it on axle stands because, you know, explosions, oxygen, all that kind of stuff. So this shouldn't take long. I'm going to do a bit of that, then a bit of that, then a bit of that, then a bit of that. You don't want to heat up the internal of this. I might even take a few breaks. Let us begin. Axle perches all welded up. Now, you may have noticed I was moving the earth clamp from one to the other. I forgot a couple of times. The reason that apparently you're supposed to do that is you want the current as close as possible to your source. Otherwise you can fry bearings, the bearings can arc. So I think on 2 occasions I forgot to do that. So hopefully my bearings are okay. Okay, I'm going to let that cool and then cover it in black paint. Meanwhile, Glenn reminded me to do something. I need to smooth down or kind of curve the edges of this. This compresses against the underside of the leaf spring, so this sharp edge could actually dig into the leaves at either side. I think I've got a slight angle there, but I kind of want it rounded. And if they dig in too far, they can actually cause premature crackage. So I need to take care of that. Thanks for the reminder, Glenn. And I also need to still weld on those upper shock mounts. And once all that's done, we can finally start reassembly. Final assembly, hopefully. But I do need to take off the leaf spring mounts and replace them with the proper grade 8 nuts and bolts. Give them a paint as well. I'm going to wait and do the brake line once it's in, so I know exactly where it's to get routed. Also, chances are if I install the brake line on the back axle before I install the axle, you know I'm going to bend the brake line, so I'll just wait. So I'll get on with that. It is Thursday, hopefully reassemble tomorrow, and then final reassembly Saturday, hopefully test drive Sunday. So stay tuned, remember to subscribe so that you can get the update of when that happens. Okay, it's all going swimmingly. Take care everyone, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.